born Olenna Redwyne, daughter of Lord Runsford Redwyne, the future matriarch of House Tyrell, was betrothed to Prince Daeron Targaryen in her youth. And while historical records claim Daeron ended the relationship, Olenna insisted it was she that maneuvered the termination of their engagement. She would go on to marry Lord Luthor of House Tyrell and bear him 3 children in Mace, Janna, and Minna Tyrell. Lady Olenna claimed to have grown fond of her husband, but largely considered him a dullard, believing that the same simple mind was inherited by her eldest son, Mace Tyrell, whom she believed incapable of securing Tyrell interests in the Westerosi Game of Thrones. And for that reason, when her husband died riding his horse over a cliff while hawking, she largely took control of their house, seeing to their prosperity and security by ruling through her son, made Lord Mace Tyrell. She would also come to rely on her granddaughter, Margaery, whom she would groom as her heir, ensuring strong leadership for the future of House Tyrell. Though Lady Olenna grew into an elderly and seemingly frail woman, her mind never dulled, remaining one of the sharpest minds in Westeros and a cunning player in the Game of Thrones. After the death of Jon Arryn and the appointment of Ned Stark as the new Hand of the King, tensions began to grow in the Seven Kingdoms, as factions began to plan for the inevitable death of King Robert and the succession that was to follow. According to Olenna, it was her son, Mace, who insisted on involving House Tyrell in the conflict that was brewing, allying them to Renly Baratheon, a friend of their family and youngest brother to the king. After Robert's death, and with the legitimacy of his heirs called into question, Mace crowned Renly as king, supporting his claim with the vast armies and wealth of the Reach. Yet after the death of Renly, it was left to Lady Olenna to resolve the crisis and ensure House Tyrell was on the winning side of the conflict to come. And so she entered into negotiations with Littlefinger, who represented the interests of House Lannister and King Joffrey Baratheon in King's Landing. They agreed to a marriage between Joffrey and Lady Margaery to unite their houses and armies to stand against the various enemy factions fighting for power in the War of 5 Kings. The deal certainly seemed to benefit House Tyrell, as they would have a daughter of their house as Queen of the Kingdom. Yet Olenna still had reservations, having heard rumors of Joffrey's cruelty and hostile behavior. When the Tyrells arrived at King's Landing in preparation for the wedding, Lady Olenna and Margaery summoned Sansa Stark, sister of the rebel king Robb Stark, and the former betrothed of Joffrey Baratheon, who was currently being held as a hostage in King's Landing. Sansa revealed to them the truth of his nature, detailing his monstrous behavior. The Tyrells thanked her for her honesty and promised to arrange a marriage between Sansa and Margaery's brother, Willis Tyrell, heir to the Reach. However, Sansa made the mistake of mentioning the plot to her supposed ally Ser Dontos, who in turn revealed the scheme to his paymaster, Littlefinger. Peter Baelish, seeing such an arrangement as an obstacle to his own desires, informed Tywin Lannister, who immediately married Sansa to his youngest son, Tyrion, knowing that Sansa's claim to the north was far too important to lose. When Lady Olenna learned that her plans were being disrupted, she took revenge on Tywin by convincing her son Mace to refuse the betrothal of Willis to Cersei Lannister, claiming that Cersei was too old and used for the heir to Highgarden. At the wedding of King Joffrey and Lady Margaery, Lady Olenna would arrange for the king to be poisoned, assassinating the boy in front of their shocked guests. Lady Olenna would organize the event, working with Littlefinger to smuggle a poison known as the Strangler into the wedding, hiding it as a black stone in a hairnet. The item was given to Ser Dontos, who in turn presented it to Lady Sansa as a gift. She wore it to the wedding, and Lady Olenna removed the stone while pretending to fix Sansa's hair, then having the poison placed in the king's wine cup. With the barbaric young king dead, Lady Margaery was left to marry Joffrey's younger brother, the much more docile and malleable Tommen Baratheon. Thanks to the maneuvering of Lady Olenna, this event would leave House Tyrell in a position of great authority, with Margaery Tyrell as queen, left to manipulate her young husband as she sees fit. Though things may have worked out well for the new Lannister-Tyrell union, things quickly began to fall apart after the death of Lord Tywin and Lady Olenna's departure for Highgarden. Cersei Lannister, unable to tolerate the presence of a Tyrell queen with her young son, took every opportunity to destabilize and undermine their alliance, arming the Faith militants and making accusations against Margaery and Loras, which would ultimately backfire, threatening the fragile peace within their territories and sowing further chaos in King's Landing. A special thanks to all those who have contributed to CivilizationEx. You make these videos possible, and I am eternally grateful for your support. If you would like to help CivilizationEx and want a say in the future content of this channel, click on the Patreon link in the description box below, and pledge any amount you'd like on a monthly basis. Or if you would prefer to make a single donation, you can use the PayPal link, also in the description below. And please be sure to like and subscribe, and click on the links to see more.